What up, everybody? The main storyline in Tulsa King Season 3, Episode 4 was Dwight and his crew getting back the Montague 50 that was stolen by the Dunmires last episode. The episode starts out with Dwight meeting up with his crew and coming up with a game plan to get the bourbon bag, while also telling Grace to find high-end wholesalers that they can sell the 50 to once they do get it back. After talking to the crew, Joanne let Dwight know that none of that would have gone down the way it did if Dwight was where he was supposed to be. Keeping in mind that Joanne is still trying to figure out where Dwight went to because he's keeping the whole Agent Musso thing a secret from her. After this, Bevilacqua pulled up with his truck only to find out that the booze had been stolen and a couple of his men had been killed. At this point, he told Dwight that he's heard rumors that Armand is MIA. So the word's starting to spread about Armand, keeping in mind that last episode, his wife even said she didn't know where he was. At this point, Bodie interrupted Dwight and Bevilacqua's conversation because he had pulled up the surveillance footage from where they had the stash that showed a semi hauling away the barrels. So Bodie pulled up the location to where the truck was registered, and Dwight, Bevilacqua, and Bigfoot showed up to the man's house to find out where he took the barrels. Bevilacqua wanted to go in by himself on behalf of his men who were killed, but the man tried drawing on Bevilacqua and he was forced to smoke this guy, leaving Dwight and his crew without a lead to where the bourbon had been taken to. But while this was going on, Tyson met up with his dad Mark to try to make things right and find out where they took the barrels, and intended on following Cole again like Tyson, Bodie, and Grace did last episode. But when they were watching Cole's truck, Serenity the stripper came out and was actually who was driving Cole's truck. So Tyson found out the hard way that he had been played by the stripper and she was actually Cole's girl. Like I had said last week, this was pretty much obvious with the way everything went down, but Tyson was too caught up to figure that out. While Tyson and Mark were doing this, we also got a little bit of Mark's backstory, how he used to roll with a rough crew before he met Tyson's mother, and they did stuff like boosting cars and selling drugs. After Bodie showed Dwight the security footage, as he was supposed to be looking into the Dunmire's distro website to see if they had placed the stolen booze on it, he instead hacked into Dunmire's cloud and started messing with their orders. Cole later told Jeremiah when he found out about this that they lost 14%. As Bodie was doing this, Cowboy Art was also there watching, and he mentioned needing Bodie's help because he's having problems with a debt that's not his and someone tried to repo his car. Keeping in mind that Bodie cloned this guy's phone and hacked his online identity as a way to get revenge. After Bodie messed with the Dunmire's product, Grace asked him what else he could do, keeping in mind that Dwight wanted her to find high-end wholesalers. Instead, Grace and Bodie made an AI bourbon influencer to help promote their brand. After they showed Joanne what they had done, Grace said it was going to be a gold mine, but Bodie said it could also be their demise, when Joanne said there's only one way to find out, and they published the post. So at this point, what's done is done, and they can't go back and undo what they've already done. And I don't know if Dwight would have went along with this idea because it could potentially compromise the integrity of their business. So this is definitely a storyline to keep an eye on moving forward because I think both could potentially happen, with it initially being a gold mine until what they're doing gets exposed, when it could potentially be their demise. In addition to that, Bodie messing with Art's identity could also be something that comes back into play as well, if Art is able to put two and two together that it's Bodie messing with his identity, especially after seeing Bodie hacking into the Dunmire's cloud. When Cole was letting his dad know that their cloud had been hacked into, he also told Jeremiah that he stole Montague's 50 for him, as it seems like Cole is always trying to win his father's praise and approval, who never gives him any validation, only making Cole try that much harder to earn it. But at this point, Jeremiah made sure Cole had the 50 at a safe location when Cole said it was at a railroad with two of his guys guarding it. The same two guys that helped him steal it. And this is where Tyson and Mark followed Serenity to. And at this point we see where Tyson gets his rush to handle things without thinking through from, as Mark wanted to go down there, just him and Tyson with a couple pipes, and beat the guys down to take back the booze. But Tyson, having learned his lesson, called Dwight for backup, and Dwight showed up with Bevilacqua, Mitch, Bigfoot, and Goody. Now going back to Cole trying to earn Jeremiah's praise. He finally thought he was going to get that when Jeremiah tried the bourbon, but instead Jeremiah said a prayer and thanked his heavenly Father. Only for minutes later, Dwight and them to catch Cole slipping outside and put a gun to him to force Dunmire to hand the bourbon over for his son's life, which Dunmire eventually agreed to, even though I think it was more about not wanting things to escalate than caring if Cole lived or not. But as Dwight and his crew were pulling off, Dunmire warned Dwight that there's nothing he can take from him that he can't take back. On a side note, Cole's two goons must have thought they saw ghosts when they saw Tyson unharmed after filling up his Cybertruck with bullets last episode. Another storyline we saw this episode was Margaret meeting up with Cal Thresher to help him with his governor's campaign. Cal Thresher isn't doing great in the polls for two reasons according to Margaret. And that's number one, because people don't like him, and number two, because he's single. And Margaret is willing to help Cal get elected as long as he sells her back her ranch for 10 cents on the dollar. So Margaret's going to help Cal by basically showing up to events with him, almost like they're a couple, to get him more support. Something Dwight wasn't too happy about when he found this out, and he said he would break Thresher's jaw if he tried anything. But at the same time, Dwight is also one Thresher to get elected because he wants to have the governor in his pocket. So essentially, by helping herself, Margaret is also helping Dwight. Dwight also got a call from Agent Musso this episode, and we get even more confirmation that Dwight has a rat in his crew because Musso was telling Dwight not to go to war with the Dixie mob over some moonshine. So at this point, Dwight should be able to figure out that someone is giving Musso information. But if Dwight has a weakness as a leader, it could potentially be caring about his people too much to where he might actually be in denial that one of them's a rat. Because if he did find this out, we already know what he'd have to do next. A problem who Musso called the boss of bosses last episode, Quiet Ray, doesn't have. Vince showed up at Quiet Ray's apartment this episode only to get pat down before going in, and Quiet Ray talked to Vince like he's an errand boy, keeping in mind that Vince is now the boss of the Infernese family. But Vince let Quiet Ray know that number one, Dwight's crew is undisciplined, and number two, that Dwight's now into booze, brown liquor. And Ray let Vince know that that was valuable information and it won't be forgotten. And this led to Quiet Ray calling Bevilacqua at the end of the episode. Quiet Ray and Bevilacqua's families have a history of doing business together. Ray told Bevilacqua he wanted to open up a line of communication with him and let him know that if he ever needs any advice or has a problem with anyone, he's just a phone call away, and asked Bevilacqua if he understood. So this is another storyline to keep an eye on moving forward and how this will play out, because Bevilacqua's loyalties are actually to Dwight because that's who he's making the money with. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.